Late nights and I'm dreaming, said you needed a rider. I'll be there when you come.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily Grind Fantasy Week 13 official NFL live stream. This is an 11-game slate. No coronavirus issues for this slate, thankfully. We have had this entire slate, though, flipped on its head in terms of ownership. I mean, it's gone all over the place. I mean, we literally had Russell Wilson at the top of the list at the beginning of the week. It's now somebody completely different. We're going to talk about all the options here. Guys, great morning. It is Sunday morning. Hopefully everybody's having a great start to the morning. Let's go ahead and jump right into the slate. Before I do, I just want to go over our recent success. We recently had a $14,000 takedown in our Discord chat from CSGO. We had a lot of success from Kevin and MMA. Last night, he actually had a takedown for himself. I believe some other guys had some takedowns as well, Kevin. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had like 3 or 4 takedowns. Someone won, I think, $1,700. Yeah, we absolutely crushed it last night. Absolutely crushed it.
It's amazing to hear. And again, Patreon, $20 a month gets you access to all of our leverage sheets, all of our favorite plays for every single DFS sport, including NBA, which is going to be going on later in the month, which I know TJ cannot wait to break down. So we're going to be doing daily live streams for that. Patreon cheat sheets for that. Everything you can get all the access for all of that for $20 a month, and includes our Patreon Discord chat. So let's go ahead and start out by breaking down this slate at the quarterback position here. Like I said, it flipped on its head. Kevin, our Final Locks video is completely different than what it actually looks like now. We have Aaron Rodgers here at the top at 10.5% ownership. What are your thoughts on it now being Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, well, this is why we do it, Matt. We like to give people up-to-date, leverage and up-to-date, information. And that's why, we have 3-4 videos on the same slate each week because, things change. But this is why we bring you, right up to lock. And then
still not good enough.
Yeah, still not good enough for some people. But, that's why we have the Patreon content too. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, 6,800. There's so much leverage there. I mean, we talked about it, Matt. I mean, especially when the slate opened up, we were looking at Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson as the top two. I believe it was the top 2 ownership, and then they were the top 2 pay-up options as well. Well, actually, Kyler's in the middle there somewhere, but they were looking like to garner the most ownership. I think it makes more sense. People are dropping off a little bit to Aaron Rodgers, especially when you look at the pricing of the rest of the slate. So it makes sense to me. Philly is, it's actually, it's not the easiest matchup in the world, but it's not bad. And I think Aaron Rodgers is essentially matchup proof anyway. Apparently, unless it's the Bucks. But yeah, I definitely like Aaron Rodgers at 6,800 to start.
Yeah, $6,800 for Aaron Rodgers, and we're going to talk more about the wide receiver chalk here in a little bit. But Aaron Rodgers playing against Philly isn't the best matchup, but he is by far the best quarterback, I'd say, for his price tag at that option. I think that's the only thing people are looking at. I'm a little upset because Ryan Tannehill jumped up to the number 2 spot. If you remember, Kevin, that was one of my favorite GPP options. But you know what? People are now catching on to the over-unders and realizing that Vegas is usually right. So Aaron Rodgers here at 10.5%. TJ, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers being the top option for cash?
Sorry, I just ran away from my screen.
The
Roomba was chasing chips, and he was trying to get on the couch. So I had to help him out. No, I think Rodgers is in a pretty good spot against Philly. I think the ownership makes sense for me, especially at 6.8K. He's kind of fallen down a little bit in terms of pricing here as of late. So I think you're saving some money going to a guy like Rodgers. And again, Matt, you mentioned the matchup. It's not the best matchup, but definitely not the worst. Philly ranks 20th in DVOA against the pass, so it's definitely a secondary that you can attack. Obviously, the addition of Darius Slay has been pretty good for them, but good luck with trying to cover Devontae Adams today. But yeah, no, I definitely like Rodgers at 10. At his ownership at 10.5. I think it makes sense to me.
We also just saw Slay get absolutely bullied by Metcalf, so
right.
Yeah. So
and now he's got Devontae. So Godspeed.
Yeah, tough week 1 and 2.
Yeah, poor guy.
I will say this about the slate. If you play DFS like daily and you're trying to take advantage of new guys coming in and they're just looking at roto grinders, optimizers and stuff, I think there's a lot of bad chalk to exploit because we see somebody down here like Russell Wilson at 6.8% could easily be the top performing quarterback here on the slate, easily. So I think this is a slate to take advantage of. I'm excited to play this slate, and I think there's a lot of good options for GPP. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but Ryan Tannehill next year at 9% ownership. $6,200. Do you buy that, Kevin? 9% ownership.
I mean, I like the fact that, I liked him more when he was leverage. I'll be honest, because I don't think it's Ryan Tannehill, screams consistency to me, especially at the latter part of the year. In the beginning of the year, sure. But it's a favorable matchup. So I don't hate it at 6,200. It's cheaper than a lot of these other guys. And, you should outproduce people a little bit cheaper than around that price tag, like Derek Carr, Jared Goff, Rivers, Newton. I mean, they're all just right short of that price tag. And to be honest, Tannehill's kind of on like, he's in a good spot. I'm also looking like at that price tag. Do I like him more than Taysom Hill? If we're talking like who do I think is going to outperform who?
Yeah,
I like Taysom Hill's legs. I like how he did against his first game. I know it's more GPP options and ownership, but I'm just looking at the pricing. And he did pretty well against Atlanta the first time. So I'd almost rather take, if we're talking like cash games, I know it's all about ownership too, but I don't know. I'm just a little. I like Tannehill a lot more as a GPP option. I'll be honest.
Yeah, the fact that he jumped so high up on the ownership, I'm definitely off of Tannehill a lot more than I was on him. Deshaun Watson also next in the list at 8.8%. TJ, if you had to pick, I guess anybody but Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill or Watson, are you buying any one of those two for cash?
I'd rather go to Tannehill than Watson. The one thing that does concern me with Tannehill, and we saw it last week, is if they can get a lead, it's just going to be Derrick Henry. And it was a pretty heavy dose of Derrick Henry against Indy. Tannehill only had 22 passing attempts, but this is pegged to be a little bit of a closer matchup. Playing against Cleveland, they have 4.5-point favorites right now, being Tennessee. Cleveland ranks 23rd in DVOA against the pass too, so I do think it's a secondary again that you can throw against. But if they do get up to a 7-10 point lead at half, it's just going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. So that's my only concern when it comes to attacking those Tennessee Titans and Ryan Tannehill. But at 6.2, I think he's relatively cheap. And again, I think I'd rather go to him over Deshaun Watson at 7,500.
Yeah, the last time that Deshaun Watson played the Colts, I believe he did pretty well. The Colts, they were the Colts. I'm looking. They haven't played the Colts, have they? I'm thinking. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Tennessee. I'm getting mixed up. But anyway, Indianapolis has gotten into shootouts regardless. When they played the Packers, which wasn't expected to be a shootout game. So now that they're playing the Colts, I think that Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, they play a lot similar. I think in the regards of they pass the ball 24/7. I mean, the offense is driven around the passing game. So I think this game could be a sneaky shootout. Therefore, Deshaun Watson, $7,500 might not be the bad option. I just don't know if I believe in it at his price tag. Kevin, we saw him at the very top of the ownership board early on. Do you believe him at 8.8%? Are you going to be looking at him at all?
I mean, I like him. Here's the thing. We talked about the matchup. You can throw a little bit more on Indy than I would have said you could, 2 weeks ago. Indy looked like maybe the best defense in the NFL. Come back down to earth, look a little more human. 50-50. Don't hate it. Don't, I like the fact that there's some separation and leverage there. I like the fact there's some separation leverage, not to move to the GPP picks, but for Russell Wilson too at 7,700. So I do like that. But I don't hate it. I like it more than Ryan Tannehill, to be honest, at 6,200.
All right, so are we in agreement, though? Aaron Rodgers is by far the best cash option on the slate.
In my opinion, yes.
Okay, I can agree with that. I can also agree with those two not being as bad options, but I think Aaron Rodgers is your safe bet, especially if you pair him with Devontae Adams. So let's go on the GPP options. Kevin, I'll go ahead and pitch it to you. So is Russell Wilson the best GPP play for you by far?
Yeah, he's my probably top option. Then Taysom Hill, just because what we can see what he can do, with his legs and the fact that he looked really good against Atlanta the first time, and that's the thing. He gets red zone opportunities with his legs, and even if you're still banking on a lot to go right for that to happen, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that don't. You know what I mean? So just the fact that he has that upside and that potential, I really like him a lot. Add into a possibly banged up Kamara. They've been using him. He played, was it less than 50% of snaps last week? So
yep.
That definitely, that definitely leaves some on the table if it's a situation like that again. Not that I'm off Kamara, because I actually really like him too at his pricing. So it's kind of going to be a game script thing and see how he's doing health wise. And then there's one more option I like, but I feel like someone else is going to talk about him, so I'm leaving it to you guys.
TJ, GPP option. I also like Russell Wilson. I think he's by far one of the best GPP options on the slate. But TJ, if you had to pick anybody different, are you looking anywhere else but Russell Wilson for GPPs?
Kev, I like the Taysom Hill call again. The first game that he started when Drew went down was against Atlanta, so a defense that he's already seen and played against. So I think that's a pretty good spot at 6,300. Excuse me. I kind of like Kirk Cousins at 6,400 in a very nice Matt. I do this every week. I just attack Jacksonville. I'm sorry. But a fantastic matchup against Jacksonville, who ranked 31st in DVOA against the pass and 30th in defensive line sack rate. So that's just going to mean that Kirk Cousins is going to have time in the pocket to pick apart a very poor secondary and defense as a whole. Again, game script. This could be a game where Minnesota goes up, so it could be a heavy dose of Dalvin Cook. But if Jacksonville can stay somewhat competitive, I really like Kirk Cousins in that 6,400 range. And then I'm dumpster diving, guys. I mean, Derek Carr is a guy that burned so many people last week, but he has such a good matchup against the Jets, who ranked last in DVOA against the pass and 25th in defensive line sack adjustment. So, I feel like a lot of people are going to be off of Derek Carr because of the matchup he had against Atlanta. But again, I think he's got a better matchup this week against the Jets. I feel like he only plays well when he plays against the Chiefs. But, I think at 5,800, I think that's a pretty good salary saver. And then I'm looking at Mitch Trubisky at 5,400. You guys want to talk me off the ledge? Okay, so
no,
all right. I liked
Matt,
Baker last week. He was okay. I mean, 5,400 against Detroit. Like,
Matt talked him up in
Prize Picks,
and I'll give you the same amount of crap I gave him.
He's so cheap, and like I know it's Mitch Trubisky, and I know it's the Bears.
You do know it's
and
Mitch
like,
Trubisky. Okay, good.
Yes, and we could see a heavy dose of Montgomery, but like he had 46 attempts against the Packers.
Yeah.
He's far too cheap at 5,400 against Detroit, 28th in DVOA against the pass, 27th in defensive line sack adjustment. So it just looks, the matchup looks good. Like with Derek Carr, the matchup looks good. Is the player great? No. I'm not going to sit here and say that Trubisky's good. By all means, no, he's not. He's a terrible quarterback. That's why he got benched for Foles. But at 5,400 in a good matchup, Chips is wailing. I like it. I like it at 5,400, and I can't help. It's the Roomba. I got to turn the Roomba off. Okay. Yeah, give me a second. I got to turn the Roomba off. He's not going to stop crying.
That's fine. I want to wait till you get back to talk about Trubisky because I have my take on Trubisky.
Go ahead. No.
Okay. So Trubisky, first of all, I like him on Prize Picks. His projection has been going up all week, by the way, which means a lot of people are on him. The one thing about Trubisky is that people give him so much hate, but for DFS, he's actually not that bad. He's like a poor man's Blake Bortles. If you guys remember how good Blake Bortles did when he would just find himself down every single game and just chuck the ball down the field. Dude, when I was watching the Green Bay Packers, the game where they played the Packers last, when they got down early on in the first half, he literally ended the first half with 1 DK point. He ended the half with 1 DK point. He ended with 21.78. Like, are you kidding me? So the fact that they can get down and for him just to throw the ball the rest of the game, there's a lot of DK point potential depending on the game script versus the Detroit Lions today. I really do believe that. So I think there's potential for Mitch Trubisky. I just think that the game script has to go right for him to throw the ball a ton. But that's my take on him.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier, Matt, in the week, and I actually don't hate it. Like the game script every time is for the Bears to keep it close so they can pound the ball. Goes out the window in the first 4 seconds when they're down by 30, and they have to air it out. So I don't hate that pick.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just it's very risky because you're reading the name Mitchell Trubisky, and obviously you're not going to be that high on him. So, also, I want to catch up on the chat, guys. Feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat. We will get to it by the end of the stream. I do promise we're not ignoring you. We're going to read down the list here at the very end of the stream. Also, thank you so much, Rod, for the subscription. Really do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move on to the running back picture. We spent way too much time on the quarterbacks. It's all good. So starting at the top, staying in the same game with Chicago, Montgomery at 23.2%, and then Devontae Booker wasn't even in the picture when we did our final looks video, Kevin, at $5,500 as well. So I pretty much think of them as the same person. They're both just not that great. They're not in the greatest matchups, but do you believe in the chalk here? I'm gonna spin this over to TJ first.
Yep.
$5,500 for both these running backs, so they just plug and plays at this point?
I'm definitely higher on Montgomery than I am at Booker. I'd rather get a guy that I know is a starter opposed to a backup running back in Devontae Booker who's filling in for Josh Jacobs. I definitely think the Jets have a way better rush defense than they do passing defense. But yeah, Montgomery's going up against Detroit, who's 23rd in DVOA against the run. Probably going to be a competitive game with Mitch Trubisky at the helm. So I personally, if I'm picking one of these guys for cash, I'm going David Montgomery 10 out of 10 times. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the butt. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Again, I think Montgomery's matchup is definitely better than Booker's, and I'm going to trust the actual starter opposed to the backup.
Right. I can agree with you there, and our leverage sheet actually agrees with you there. I'm getting flashbacks. I keep thinking Devin Booker when I see D Booker. Getting absolute flashbacks, TJ. So I don't know if it's good chalk or bad chalk whenever you include the last name Booker. So let's go ahead and pitch this over to Kevin. Do you agree with that? $5,500 for both these running backs. Are you playing both of them in cash, or are you just doing one or the other?
I honestly, I might play both, just so I can
Yeah, I
pay
feel
up
like
at
you
wide
can.
receiver a little bit. I don't hate it. I like Montgomery more. I agree with TJ. Um, I definitely agree more with the Montgomery
Yeah.
pick. I talked about his favorable matchup. And I opened the week talking about him in Prize Picks, thinking he scores the under. I'm starting to shift my opinion on that a little, Matt, and I think that he's definitely live in this matchup. It's a very, very favorable matchup. We talked about it earlier in the week. One of the most favorable matchups on the slate. I think are they last? I think against DraftKings or in DraftKings scoring, the worst defense against running backs. I believe. I think they're
Is this
32nd.
the Lions?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Yes, Lions are
they're
last.
last.
That's what
Yeah.
I was just
So
throwing
okay.
in. Yep, they've given the most DraftKings points to opposing
Sorry, I
running
was
backs.
paying attention to chips.
No, you're right on.
But yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. He's being a rascal.
But yeah. So I definitely like that matchup. David Montgomery, he's shown some prowess, and if they can somehow not be down by a million points in the beginning, he's obviously going to get a little more work.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, one person that was getting overlooked last week was Austin Eckler, and the ownership quickly caught up to him. 22% owned, $7,100. But he doesn't have the best matchup in the world versus your Patriots.
Yes, he does.
TJ, okay, TJ,
Yes,
I was about to ask you, what's your opinion on that?
I mean, I was pretty. I mean, I guess I wasn't surprised. He played 72% of offensive snaps. Did Eckler, which was actually the most on the season, including those first 3 games when he was healthy. So yeah, if they're going to utilize him the way they did against Buffalo, against the Patriots, where he had 14 rushing attempts and 16 targets. 16 targets.
Yeah,
That's
like
crazy.
that's McCaffrey type target numbers. So yeah, if that's how they're going to utilize him, and Herbert's just going to dump it off them, then yeah, obviously I love Eckler at 7,100. So chalk that ownership makes sense to me.
I will say this: the Chargers have a bright future, a very bright future, at least offensively.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I would be excited to be a Chargers fan. Yeah, Austin Eckler, 7,100 stud. Kevin, you agree with that?
Yeah, I love Austin Eckler. I'm a big Austin Eckler guy. I think the talent's there. I think he's physical. He's actually, fun fact of the day, he's I think the strongest pound for pound running back in the NFL.
He's an absolute wagon, dude. His bird does not quit.
Bird absolutely doesn't quit, and I believe he's 195 pounds too. And like that's the thing. So people think he's or something like that. He's like smaller. So everyone thinks he's a meatball. Truck. And and he's a meatball, and he catches a lot of balls in the backfield. And I like that matchup, Matt. We talked about earlier. That's actually someone I talked about. I don't know if you can get behind this. I said
built
that
like a Lego block.
I built like a Lego block, and I think that Justin Herbert is actually a sneaky GPP play because the Pats don't have it right now. They just don't have it.
No, I like that.
All right.
But I like Eckler.
So those are the top cash options. I think those are plug and play options for the most part, at least just in cash. But I think that the chalk is actually pretty bad for Montgomery and Booker. I think that they don't have the highest ceiling potential, and there's a lot of ceiling potential with the majority of these running backs left. So I want to talk about them. TJ, I'll start you out here. Pay up options look very intriguing this week. Are you paying up at the running back position? Who are some of your favorite GPP options?
Well, I mean, if we're considering Dalvin Cook a GPP option, then that's fine with me because I would pay up.
That's a GPP
I'd
option.
pay up for him again at 9,500. Again, somebody that burned a lot of people last week against Carolina when Dalvin was in a really good spot and only finished with 11 DraftKings points, and he was $9,500. Again, $9,500 in what seems to be a way better matchup against Jacksonville. Matt, I know we keep saying it, but I keep attacking Jacksonville. 26th in DVOA against the run. And Minnesota's heavy favorites with the highest over-under on the slate. So if they can jump out to a lead, I guess. So I'm going to play both sides, as Mac from Always Sunny would say. I'm going to play a Kirk Cousins stack with those wide receivers in case Jacksonville keep it close and they do continue to air it out. But if this is a game where they should be out to a lead, you're going to see a heavy dose of Dalvin Cook. So again, if Jacksonville is down 10 points and Minnesota just continues to pound the rock, this is a game where Dalvin can go for 30 carries and, 5 targets. And I think he can make the most of it 100%. Yeah. So at 9,500, he's definitely my spend up.
Do you like Dalvin Cook and James Robinson in the same lineup? I feel like that could pay off.
I really do like James Robinson, man. He's been so good for you guys. Over his last 5 games, 22 carries and 4 targets. So if you have 26
not saying much,
opportunities throughout the game to touch the ball at running back at 7,300, I think that's a fantastic spot. He's also on pace to have the most rushing yards of any undrafted rookie. So that's something to hold your head up, Matt, for Jacksonville. You got a very good running back for the future.
Yeah, but we need a quarterback. But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so you got Mike Glennon. Chris Thompson's also out for you guys. So you could easily see James Robinson go for, 80 plus offensive snaps, maybe 85, 90%. So yeah, I mean, your offensive line is pretty trash, but James Robinson makes up for it. So yeah, I could definitely see that being a really good leverage play, playing both of them in your lineup with James Robinson and Dalvin Cook. It might handcuff you in terms of pricing because they're both kind of expensive. Obviously, Dalvin being very expensive and the most expensive running back on the slate. But I think you can make it work. And, even if they're down, I think James Robinson's still going to get the ball. So I wouldn't worry about too much game script coming into play for that game.
I will say this before I pitch this question to Kevin. The way they get contrarian this week is to pay up at the running back, because if you look at these over-unders across the board, none of these games should shoot out. And when I'm talking about a shootout, I'm talking 30-plus points for either team, and because that's going to hurt the wide receiver value. If this is a week where you're going to be paying up at the running back position, it's going to be the best week to do it, because there's so many stud options. There's so much ceiling potential here at the running back position. Derrick Henry, next on the list here, 9,200. We haven't even talked about, but that game could easily go back and forth between the running backs. Pair Nick Chubb with Derrick Henry. Are you kidding me? You're talking about the sky's the limit in that game. So, so much potential at the running back position. Kevin, I probably just took one of your GBP options, but if you had to name a GBP option, where are you looking?
Yeah, he took one. That's okay. But yeah, I like, some of the same people I talked about before, Matt. I agree. Some good pay up options. Aaron Jones, really like him, just for the potential. He has so much boom potential. Chris Carson, we talk about week to week. We all love Chris Carson here.
Yep.
So many opportunities, and on one of the most high octane offenses in football. And then someone I don't think anyone's really talking about, though, and I'm not saying I love it, but Kareem Hunt is a little interesting to me at that price tag. He's been hot. He's been more cold than hot lately, but we know the potential's there, and it's interesting to me. It's definitely interesting to me, and I guess I'll pair that with Nick Chubb too, just because I say it all the time. I think Nick Chubb's the best runner in football.
He's great.
And just looking at their back-to-back ownership is I think at 5% and 6%. They're literally back-to-back at 12 and 13. So I do see some potential there against the Titans, who absolutely you can run against. They're 26th against running backs in terms of Draftkings scoring. So I don't hate either of those running backs.
So I'm surprised you haven't brought up Kamara yet, because he's at 3.1% ownership right now. You believing in that?
You know what? I talked about it a little earlier. I love Kamara, just because if he plays the snaps, like, you're not banking on him being good. Like, he's gonna be good. It's just that he plays the snaps. It's how banged up he is. So you're really, you're not banking on a ton. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I mean, at 7K.
Quick question, Kevin. I'm sorry. Just because I don't know the exact answer to this, do you know his snap count percentage in the last 2 games? It's been lower. Is that correct?
What'd you say?
His snap count percentage. Like, do you know
if it's been lower?
Kamara.
Yeah, it was less than 50% the last 2 games.
Alvin?
Yeah, Alvin Kamara. So that's
the less than 50% the last 2 games.
Right. What I'm saying for our viewers is that's the misconception, is that Kamara has not been playing bad. It's because he's been on the field for less than 50% of the snaps.
Yeah. He's been banged up. His foot's been an issue.
49 and 48%. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. And we're used to seeing 80+%. He's
averaged. Yeah. No, he's averaging 65. High 60s.
Okay.
High 60s.
So yeah, the potential 70s, potential hasn't been there the previous 2 games, and it could be there this game at 3.1%. That's the only point that we're going to make. We're not saying he's going to have a boom potential game, but we're saying the potential could be there if he's out there for longer than 50% of the snaps. So just saying that. Let's go ahead and move on to the wide receiver position, though. Wide receiver position here, Brandon Cooks. It is Houston Texans wide receiver chalk week. To everybody, 29.7% for Brandon Cooks, and actually Kiki Coutie's dropping a little bit, 14.6% now, all the way down there. Devontae Adams at 21.9%, and then Robert Woods at 16.2%. So Brandon Cooks, I guess I'll just pitch this question to you, Kevin. You believe in the Texans wide receiver chalk this week?
Yeesh. Okay. I'm big on Brandon Cooks. Love Brandon Cooks, absolutely. All year on this guy. 5,600. Will Fuller out. All on him. Kiki Coutie, I think I've been vocal about before. I think he's not great at football, but his price tag, I mean, I can't.
$3,500. Yeah. Wide receiver 2 for 3,500.
Yeah, no, there's no complaints there.
Yeah,
with Deshaun Watson at the helm.
Right, exactly. And you're talking about a pass-heavy offense. So, TJ, you agree with that? Texans chalk wide receiver? Yes.
Yeah, I do. I mean, no Will Fuller, and then Randall Cobb's also out, and they actually garner. Right, Kevin? Garner, that's the word I'm looking for. A 38% target share. So there's 38% of the target share that Deshaun Watson will be throwing that needs to be dispersed throughout the wide receiver and tight end core. So I think Brandon Cooks is obviously in a fantastic spot at 5,600. But that's kind of why when we were talking about Deshaun Watson, I was kind of iffy on him because he doesn't have Will Fuller and Randall Cobb. So I'm kind of thinking like, who's he going to throw to? But yeah, no, I think at 5,600, I think that's really cheap. So I do like Brandon Cooks, and then Kiki Kuti at 3,500 again, super cheap, should be in line for, to work as that number 2 wide receiver. So both of them make sense for me in terms of ownership and their pricing as well.
Real quick, I'm going to pause the stream, guys. A question coming in here. Can you replace TJ with his dog? That thing is the cutest thing ever. So
is that what somebody just said?
Yeah. So we're going forward. It's going to be Chips the Corgi analysis.
Okay, ready? I'll put the camera. Yeah, I'll put the camera on Chips so you guys can see him. He actually just grabbed both of Amanda's slippers.
Oh, look at him stretching.
One by one. So we'll just do it like that. I'll leave that like this, and you guys can just see
crazy how much more I like him.
My ugly face.
TJ,
there
right?
you go,
Yeah,
guys.
it's bad.
I hope everybody enjoys that. I'll hold it there as long as I can.
Oh, wow.
He's coming over to say hi.
Yeah, we're gonna have to clip
and
that.
this is Sunday football, and now he's itching his butt.
Okay, yeah.
He's chasing.
Now it's getting PG-13. Right. Now we gotta switch it back.
Back to the show.
So
and he's biting the wire.
Yeah, there goes all the viewers. All right, so Devontae Adams, 21.9% ownership there, 9K. Kevin, are you paying up for Devontae Adams this week? Actually, if you're paying up for anybody, you're paying up for Devontae Adams, and that includes the running back position.
Yeah, there's a lot of pay down options, and not to hop into GPP picks again, but I mean, my favorite pay up options are him and DK. I think they're, I don't want to say DK, they're in a league of their own. Devontae Adams is in a league of his own. That's it. Yep. He's on an island, but DK is, next up. He's playing very well too. But yeah, we'll talk about Adams. 22%. Like I said, there's some decent pay down options for running back. There's some decent pay down options everywhere on this slate. So I definitely think you can get Devontae Adams in without, too much trouble this week.
Yeah, I will say this. I won't give away too much, but Devontae Adams is probably the best chalk on the slate according to the leverage sheet. I mean, deservingly so. If you're going to be playing Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position, might as well double up and grab Devontae Adams if you believe it's going to be higher scoring, at least on the Green Bay side. 100%. So 21.9%. I'm buying into the chalk there. I guess Robert Woods is next here, 16.2%, which is kind of weird. I get it, but 5.9K, we don't see ownership from Robert Woods or really any of the Rams wide receivers ever. So it's kind of weird that he jumped up, but I mean, it makes sense. 5.9K, 16.2%. TJ, do you believe in Robert Woods being that high owned?
Yes and no. 5,900 is definitely a good price. And Robert Woods has been really good over his last 2 games, 27 targets combined. So I think it's a pretty good matchup against Arizona. But I'm a little iffy on it. Again, the price tag's really good. If I have to choose between Woods and Kupp, I'm going with Woods. Although I do love Cooper Kupp, actually, you know what? I might rescind that. I think I'd rather go with Cooper Kupp. I don't think you could go wrong with either of these two young gentlemen. You want to go Woods? Okay, I'll take Kupp. You take Woods. Again, both of them are really cheap. 6,100 and Kevin
Woods.
Yeah, we're just Kevin. Just only change your spot there.
Yeah, that would actually make it funny. We should do it.
No, so I think I'd rather go Kupp this week. I think Woods would probably get Patrick Peterson. I might be wrong. I want to check that real quick.
I mean, no one covers Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
It's the most wild thing in the world. You watch a game, it's
so
like
they have
4 receptions later. And
yeah. So they have Patrick Peterson slated to cover Robert Woods. So if that's the case, give me Cooper Kupp. But yeah, both of them are really cheap. So ownership makes sense for sure.
They're both up there in ownership, so they're both relatively chalky, and they're just giving the edge to Robert Woods strictly because of his price tag. But yeah, let's go ahead and switch over to GPP. I'll go ahead and start this segment because there's a lot of GPP options, but I want to start out by saying that Justin Jefferson was the chalkiest guy in the slate because Adam Thielen, we didn't know what his status was at the beginning of the week. Right now, he's at 14.4%. Give me all of the Vikings wide receivers, Adam Thielen and both Justin Jefferson. Thielen, before he got injured, was absolutely crushing it. So I think, as weird as this is to say, Kirk Cousins is establishing chemistry with both of these wide receivers. I really like the upside. And we talk about the matchup. I know I'm attacking the Jaguars, but both of these guys are under-owned. 11.6% and 14.4% for both of these pay-up options. They are by far my favorite GPP options on the slate. TJ, I'm going to pitch it over to you this time. For GPP wide receivers, where are you looking, at least maybe for stack potential?
Allen Robinson.
Okay.
Give me a Mitchell Trubisky, Allen Robinson stack.
Oh, my word. What are we doing?
What are we really
Detroit
doing
28th in DVOA against the pass. Allen Robinson with Trubisky as a starter last week. I know they were playing from behind, but 13 targets, 8 receptions, 2 tutties, going up against Desmond Trufant in Detroit. So he technically rates out as the number 1 wide receiver cornerback matchup on this slate.
Really? Desmond Trufant?
Yep.
That's funny.
Yep.
He used to be good. What happened?
He rates out number 1. So, and Thielen number 2, if you wanted to know that, Matt, against Jacksonville. And Justin Jefferson's number 5. So I also like that. I like that Minnesota stack. But yeah, I love the way Allen Robinson plays. If they're going to fall behind, Mitch Trubisky's going to throw the ball to him because he's trash. So just give it to your best guy. Just keep it up there and let Allen Robinson make plays. So at 6,700, carrying the ownership he has, I really like Allen Robinson.
I like Allen Robinson because he's good. I just I don't trust Trubisky.
Don't trust Mitch. That's fine. I'm gonna have some Mitch Allen Robinson stacks. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. Believe that.
Yep. Could easily play into your favor. It's gonna, that Baker Mayfield terrible. Stack was brutal the last time you mentioned it, but you know what? Yeah. This Trubisky stack is.
Wait, what did you say? My Baker Mayfield stack?
I mean, I don't think Baker Mayfield's gotten over 18 points this entire season.
He had 18, and Jarvis had like 31.
But we're talking
what are you talking about?
But we're talking GPP. You have to score more than 18 points to do anything.
Baker did have a 30-point game, but he's
he did have 30. Okay, all right.
That's anyway. One game, but he's horrible. I mean, you're talking about Trubisky. So what are we doing here?
I'm taking Baker this week at 5,300. Give me all the Baker.
Oh my God, he's about to lose his job.
Kevin, do you have any competent wide receiver QB stacks?
Stacks or
I guess players. Just go
players.
for it.
I was like stacks. Never mind stacks. I mean,
I can talk about Denzel Mims if you want next.
Yeah,
it's entirely up to you guys. I'll spit Denzel Mims at 4,100. Just let me know.
You gonna stack him with me at quarterback? Whoever's at the Jets now.
I think I'd have you at quarterback.
You got some believers in the chat, by the way, TJ.
I should, dude.
Yeah,
Allen Robinson's a great matchup.
They love your Corgi. They love your takes.
No one dislikes Allen Robinson.
No, it's just Trubisky.
On record.
Do you have anybody else to include at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, I got a couple I really like, man. I think there's some good pay up options here. I really like DK Metcalf, as I talked about, but AJ Brown, and you know what? You want a stack? I'll give you one.
Okay.
Super contrarian stack, and I can't lose either way because
what, dude? Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, 6 stack, man.
All right, good seeing you guys. No, it was. I'm looking at. I'll go against the boys too. I'll go against them. I'll say Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen.
I like that actually. I do like that.
Contrarian, and if it's wrong, then the Pats win, and I'm happy.
There you go. You can't lose. Can't lose to that.
I can't lose. No, and then but my other one is Michael Thomas at 7K. Michael Thomas 7K. It's ridiculous.
That's pretty contrarian.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 7K gives you so much room, so much leverage in a matchup that he absolutely smoked last time they played. Absolutely smoked. Very, very favorable matchup, and he knocked it out of the park. I mean, everyone was like, I remember we took him that week, Matt. He made my who's that player list, and he got 23 points. I think he had like 9 receptions for over 100. I don't even think he had a touchdown. So throw a touchdown there, and he's super optimal. So I definitely like Michael Thomas at 7K.
Before we move on, 2 guys that we haven't talked about, and I can't believe it, and nobody's talking about throughout the industry, just because I hate the matchup with Colt McCoy. Nobody's talking about the wide receivers for the Seahawks, and I don't get it. I just simply do not get it. They could easily blow the doors off of the Giants. They could score enough points to make them relevant. DK Metcalf is at 9%. Are you kidding me? Lockett's at 7. Like, give me all the wide receivers from the Seahawks. But anyway, that would be my last GPP take as we move on. At the tight end position... You're going to laugh at this, Kevin. Ferkser is the highest owned, 23.5%.
Heck yeah.
My GPP play. Both of you should laugh because we've said that name enough times in our streams. $2,500. It's either Ferkser or not. So are you paying down for Ferkser? I guess, TJ, are you doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. No Jonnu Smith, good matchup against the Browns, 2,500. I think he's a really good salary saver if you're looking to just plug in for cash. If you're playing tournaments, I'd probably look elsewhere, even though he's so cheap. But yeah, if you're playing cash, I think he's a really safe plug and play. He'll see the snaps today, and it's a potential to really blow that price tag out of the water.
I completely agree. I think it just gives you enough salary to do whatever you want at the other positions. 2,500. I mean, you're asking for a starting tight end with a high over/under and a great matchup. So, completely agree. Kevin, you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I'm building lineups around him.
Yeah, I feel like I'm starting out with Ferkser. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, so, it's just so friggin' cheap, man. Yeah, and I mean, 100%.
And then everybody else. So let's talk about it. Akins, Waller, Goddard are next on the list. Are you guys looking anywhere else in GPP, TJ?
I mean, I talked about the Derek Carr factor last week. Everybody was on him and Darren Waller as a stack against Atlanta, and I feel like it burned a lot of people, and they have a better matchup this week against the Jets. And Matt, where do we have Darren Waller? Okay, he's up there at 11%.
He's up there, yeah.
So
Not too high.
yeah, so he's up there, but I mean at 11%, I think he's still considered a tournament play. So yeah, I would really like a Derek Carr, Darren Waller stack. If you don't want to go Derek Carr, I don't blame you. I would rather probably just play Darren Waller if I had to choose between the two. Again, in a spot where he burned a lot of people last week and just didn't really get anything going in a great matchup, I'll take Darren Waller at 6,100.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to get really contrarian, pay up at the tight end position and expect Waller to do something. Unfortunately, there's no Travis Kelce on this slate, or I would be all over Kelce just because he's a lot more consistent. I think Ferkser is a great pivot. I mean, I think pivoting off of Ferkser is a great option on this slate in general. I also like Goddard. He's been getting so many targets over the previous 2 games. I think this is now, I think he's established himself as one of the major targets on this team at the tight end position.
Ertz is back this week, though, so.
You said who? Hurts?
Ertz is back.
Ertz. Duh. I mean, obviously, yeah. Ertz, yeah. So he is back, but it'll be interesting to see how
another,
that affects his share.
Another guy to see. Unsure as to what his snap count will look like, but just another melt to feed, and that's Wentz's guy. But yeah, no, I think Goddard's completely outplayed Ertz. 100%.
I was thinking you're talking about Jalen Hurts. That's why I was like, wait, what? That's a curveball. Gotcha. All right, Kevin, if you're paying anywhere else for tight end, where are you going?
I mean, I liked all the things you guys talked about. I was big on Waller early in the week, especially with no Kelce, Kittle on the slate. I mean, it gives you an opportunity, to pay up for him and not worry that some other stud should, outperform him a ton. I mean, the next talented guy is Hawkinson. There's a big difference between that. Okay. Waller can put up Kelce numbers, and I kind of like the Kelce's on the slate because Kelce's usually $7,500.
Yeah,
I hate paying him tight end, and he always crushes it, and he makes
10K every week.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and he's so freaking good, and I hate picking him because then it just makes every lineup hard.
Yeah.
So I definitely like that, and I think that makes a good option. I also want to talk about Jordan Akins. Jordan Akins, I mean, really good, spot. Obviously, with all the other people we're talking about out of the mix for the Texans, and then I like the fact that he got a red zone target last week. It was in his hands. I mean, kind of a little bit of Sean overthrow, kind of a bit of Akins dropping, could have gone either way. But I like that, and he's so friggin' cheap too. So if you want to pivot a cheap pick off of Fersker, I think Akins isn't a bad idea.
Completely agree. I think we're spending definitely enough time here talking about the tight ends. Also, by the way, Tua is expected to start. I know we're getting questions in the chat. He's expected to start, which Gesicki's value does go down, I believe, because Gesicki doesn't get too many targets. Huh? What's that?
Oh, don't you? Don't you? Gesicki was a wagon.
He's a wagon with
definitely like Gesicki more with Fitzpatrick. One other guy I want to throw out, guys, is Tanyan. 2 straight games, 5 targets, tutty in each game. Been playing pretty well. He's been able to find the end zone. He's been oh my god, it's been a big red zone target as well for Aaron Rodgers. So especially because Devontae Adams draws.
Good.
He
was one of my top prize picks last game, by the way. Just saying.
Got you. Glad I couldn't spit that sentence out. But yeah, I think Tanyan at 3,700 is a pretty good tournament play as well.
All right, so let's switch over to defense. It's the Seahawks and everybody else. The Seahawks are playing the Giants with Colt McCoy. I don't know if I believe in that 100%, but I do get it. $3,300, 16.3%. We're just talking about the Seahawks defense. I just never trust the defense like the Seahawks. Do you guys believe in that, Kevin? You paying down for the Seahawks defense at 3,300?
I mean, it's a terrible pick. I think we talked about, man, I almost like the Bears more at 3,100.
It's not a bad pick.
Just because of, it's like we talked about, it's a talented defense. And then the matchup, I mean, that I don't know why, but the Lions have been a dumpster fire in offense. They really have. And I don't know why. I mean, the talent's there, opportunities there. I don't quite understand why, but it's what's happening. So I actually don't hate those options. Falcons at 2,400 is mind boggling. I don't know why.
But listen, they scored 28 points last week, so that means they're going to do exactly that again. That's why they're so high owned. Against the Saints, yeah. They're going to do exactly that. TJ, who you paying down for defense?
I mean, I think Seattle's obviously a safe play going up against Colt McCoy and Giants. So, if you're looking to save some money there, I definitely don't hate them at 3,100. I wouldn't mind taking some chances with the Raiders at 3,400 strictly because they're playing the Jets, although I think the Raiders have a pretty putrid defense. I guess you could. I think
the Raiders are so bad.
Yeah, they are terrible. Kev, I kind of like the Falcons as well a little bit at 2,400.
Really? Okay.
Kind of like a smidge. If I'm gonna go cheap down there, I'd probably go with the Falcons, honestly.
I'll give you this. The Saints are a balanced team. You know,
Right.
they're not as blowouty. It's just I don't think
Blowout.
the Falcons are good either. And now I don't know.
No, I agree. They're not.
If it was
they're
2K,
not.
I'd say yeah, punt down. But I mean, that's still not
Right.
bad.
That extra $400 is a ton of money. Yeah, you're right. I kind of don't hate. Actually, I'm not even gonna say it. I won't say it on stream
Say
because
it.
I don't want to get. I was gonna say the Bengals at 2,300.
Okay.
I wouldn't hate taking a chance with them. So let's just move past it.
Well, I mean, that's a
Technically.
little over under. I get it.
Yeah, I'd say Seattle at 3,300 obviously is your safe play.
I don't think
and
yeah,
then-
I actually don't hate the Bengals at all. I think it's a good pay down option. That's not a high octane offense. I mean, they're probably going to lose. They're probably going to have trouble on offense, but I mean, that's, you know, it's not like Tua. I don't think Tua is going to come out and be like, watch this, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Well, I was gonna say the Jags, but I changed. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I kind of do like the Bengals at 2,300. But yeah, I think Seattle's the safe play, and then I like the Bears as well.
Can we talk about good defenses now? If I'm playing a good defense, I'm paying up for the Dolphins at $4,400, 7.7%. Yeah, and the Packers. Yeah, that's who I'm paying up for, and that's how I'm getting contrarian at the defensive
Packers
spot.
are a good defense now.
Against Philly, they would be.
You're going up against Philly. Yeah, Wentz. You can schedule Wentz for 2 picks and a fumble. 100%.
Okay.
Guy's an absolute liability.
Yeah,
I think we spent enough time talking about tight ends and defenses. You can just throw a dart at the dartboard and just pick anything at this point.
True.
Let's go ahead and go through the questions now. I will prioritize the Discord chat and our Patreon Discord chat. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them there, and we'll also be monitoring the free live chat. So if we have Patreon users in here, please do ask your questions in the Discord chat. TJ, do you mind going through the questions in the free chat though?
That I do not.
Okay.
It's my favorite thing. Let's see. I'm going to start at the top, Matt. I'm going to scroll to the top and see. So Slay is questionable. I'm pretty sure Slay is playing, but if he's out, then that's even better for my guy. Gaskins is a go. I like Fitz today. I think 2 is starting. Yep, 2 should be starting. Matt, percentage of ownership on Russell. I'm assuming
6.8. I've memorized that. That's how much I like him.
Perfect. Kyler at 3%. Definitely a decent GPP option, but his shoulder is very iffy. So
that AC joint ain't holding up so well right now.
Yeah. Any love for Jonathan Taylor?
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
I hate Jonathan
Taylor. Any love for Miles Sanders for GPP?
Maybe. I don't like the matchup, but I
don't
think
like a stack in that game. If you think it's going to be high scoring, it's obviously pairing like Devontae Adams coming back with the best player on the Eagles, which is Miles Sanders. I don't hate that.
Right. Woods, Gallman, or Gaskin in flex?
Say that
I
again?
would definitely go Robert Woods, Gallman, or Gaskin in flex.
Woods, I think.
I'd say Woods or Gaskins. I'd probably go with Woods as well.
I like Gallman.
I wanna ask the questions here so we don't lose track. Any Kyler Murray love? That's actually a great point because we didn't talk about Kyler Murray at all. Kevin, what are your thoughts on Kyler Murray?
I like Kyler Murray.
You didn't talk about Kyler Murray, did you?
We literally just mentioned Kyler Murray. He's
I think he means
3%.
during the.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
got you. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I agree because we didn't talk about him. I talked about him, you know, remember when I said I had a pick that I was going to leave to you guys on the table and let you take it. No one took it, so I'll take it back. Kyler Murray 7,600. I mean, he's got. I'll take it back. 3% ownership. I mean, if his shoulder holds up, I mean, TJ, we know about the bird. It doesn't quit. So the thing is, I think if the shoulder holds up, he's going to absolutely sling. So,
do you run it back with the New York Giants stack with your Wilson stack? Yes.
What?
I would say this. What?
No, man. What?
The wide receivers. Yes, you can. All right. First of all, Kevin, coming from a Giants lover at the beginning of the season, thank you very much. We're talking about the Giants, who are first of all, the wide receivers are $5,300, $4,600, and $3,800. You can definitely fit a stack in there. If you think it's going to be higher scoring, if they catch a touchdown or two, I mean, they're going to crush value.
If a Giants player makes the optimal, TJ will do the next stream naked.
Okay. I hope that doesn't happen then. Okay.
100%. I'll do it naked. No questions asked. What else do we have? Captain from Minnesota versus no. Can you consider Cooks a GPP? I would say no. At 5,600, he's probably Matt. What do you have him pegged for ownership? I'm bringing that up right now.
Who? Sorry, I was reading.
Brandon Cooks, 29%. So no, I would not consider him. Wouldn't consider him a tournament play. He's going to be the most.
You wouldn't play him, T?
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't play him.
I just not considering him a tournament play.
A tournament play.
If you are playing, if you're playing the Millie Maker, there's 2 stacks that I'm going away from in the Millie Maker. It's going to be anything with Watson, including Brandon Cooks and Kiki Kuti, just because they're going to be so highly inflated, and also Aaron Rodgers. I would do that in smaller GPPs, just not the big one.
Okay. Cup over Woods. I think I agreed with that. Kevin had Woods. It feels like a Lockett week with all this DK talk. I feel like they jib jab, they switch off, but it's definitely been a little more DK more than Lockett.
Yeah, Lockett's been far more.
Based on what I saw last game, he only looked at DK Metcalf the entire game, so I believe that.
Right. On him too,
Cheap defense worth this week. I think we said we kind of like the Bengals, I guess. But I feel like Seattle's still technically cheap at 3,100. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that.
Yes.
Yeah, both are good.
T.Y. Hilton versus the Texans.
No.
Okay, I mentioned T.Y. on stream last week, and he actually played
well.
He did.
He did very well last week.
Yeah,
that was the first time he did well.
T.Y. Hilton.
He's at 3,900.
18. I mean, that's not bad. 18 points
at
is not
3,900. That's not bad. I wouldn't mind going back to him again.
Probably not optimal though, right?
No.
Okay, Kevin, can't you just say good play team? Move past it. I
Real
believe
quick,
the
let
guy
me get to a question.
Truth. A-Rob going off today. My man. Go ahead.
Ferkser, across the board at that price, cash and GPP. If Coulter is a strong pivot from Kuti in GPP. Coulter. Who's Coulter? Coulter.
What are you saying?
Who's Coulter?
I think it's having a seizure.
No. Coulter at the wide receiver position for Houston.
Oh, for Houston, yeah.
He's 3K. Isaiah Coulter.
3K.
Okay, so his question is, are you playing Ferkser across the board? I think that's a great spot to get contrarian, actually, in the tight end position. So I don't like him that much in GPPs. I will say that.
Okay.
Are you asking, so what's he saying, is Coulter a good pivot off of Kiki?
Yes.
Could be. I mean, you never know. I mean, I don't think Kiki Kuti has the talent to be like, I'm the number 2 guy, so I don't hate it. If you want to get real contrarian.
Somebody said he's out, so I don't even know if he's playing. I don't see an injury status next to Coulter. Yeah.
No, it just says he was expected to see more reps last I saw, but I don't know. Maybe he's out.
I don't know. I only like Kiki Kuti and Brandon Cooks at the wide receiver position this week. Okay. For the Texans. All right. Go ahead. Continue on, TJ. Sorry.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. Who's your favorite out of Booker, Montgomery, and Gaskins?
Montgomery.
I say Montgomery.
Yeah.
I'll say Gaskins or Montgomery.
Or Montgomery.
I don't know why Montgomery is such a hard word for me.
Montgomery. It's a tough word to say.
Similarly.
Yeah. Don't you even start with that word. David Johnson for GPPs? Question mark.
David Johnson. Does he still play?
Yeah, his ceiling is just so low, man.
Yeah, I'm not too high on David Johnson. Eckler or AJ Brown in flex? I would say Eckler, but AJ Brown is flying under the radar in a good matchup.
I love AJ Brown this week.
Yeah, he is good. I think Eckler's the safer play, but I think AJ Brown could definitely go off.
He could have boom potential for sure.
Too. Yeah,
I love them both, to be honest.
But highest over under, yeah, I love him too as well, Matt. Okay, pick 3: David Johnson, Montgomery, Eckler, Booker, Gaskins, and Hunt. I would go Montgomery, Eckler.
Dude, you see, you butchered it. Why is Montgomery?
Did I butcher it?
That's what I said too. I go Montgomery. I don't know what it is.
All right, Montgomery. I would go with. So I'd go with Montgomery. I would go with Eckler, and I would go with Gascan.
I agree with that.
Gascan. So annoying.
Running Taysom Hill or Kyler Murray naked in GPP? Question mark.
Yeah, fan both. Yes, green light both.
I like it.
I like that too.
What else do we have? Richard Rodgers revenge game against the Packers. Zach Ertz back, so I would tread lightly there. Coulter, coach's decision won't suit up today. Thank you, Brandon, for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the update.
Carson, Dalvin Cook, and Montgomery stack in GPP. I like it. I probably said Montgomery wrong again. My bad. It's Montgomery.
You literally did.
So Carson, Cook, and Montgomery stack. Yeah, I love Dalvin too. I know.
I wouldn't consider Montgomery a GPP stack. I don't think he's definitely not contrarian this week. But yeah, I can get beyond that core.
I feel like a lot of people in the questions in the chat are solely based around that mid to high 5K range for running backs between Gaskins, Montgomery, and Booker. And for me, I personally think that Montgomery has the best opportunity
you're throwing me off now.
to have the most points. So that's my personal opinion.
All right.
Go ahead, Matt.
Gaskin, Booker, or Montgomery GPP. I think you didn't read that yet. Yeah.
Montgomery. Yeah, we just did that one.
Just
Yeah.
did that, okay.
I would say Montgomery. I don't know if you guys agree with me.
I agree with it. Montgomery's the best option.
Or Gaskin. I like Gaskin too.
Montgomery or Gaskin. Just we're kind of
That
off of
team's
Booker.
a pound the ball defense team, and I think they should play up. But
Okay. Season long flex, Gurley or Jacoby Myers?
Wait, what?
It's a fantasy football
you
question.
can play a kicker in the flex?
what
Is that a thing?
What? Gurley or Jacoby Myers?
Oh, Jacoby.
What is wrong with your brain?
Sorry.
He was thinking. I think he's thinking Jason Myers.
I was thinking
for
Jason Myers.
Seattle,
That's totally my fault. Yep.
I was just like, what?
I would say if you can get your kicker in the flex, I'd advise you probably not to do it. I'd probably say Gurley. I don't trust Cam Newton. He's thrown for like
I like
200
Myers,
yards the
but-
last 5 games. So, Herbert, sneaky GPP, definitely. Favorite pay up spot, wide receiver, or running back? I'd go running back. Am I muted? Hello?
No, I'm just thinking because there's so many wide receiver pay up options that I mentioned that I like. Historically speaking, yeah, paying up at running back is the play. But and then paying down a wide receiver. But I just like some pay up options this week for wide receiver.
I think there's good spend up potential.
There's
at
both. Yeah,
each.
no, you're right.
Yeah. What else do we have here? That's kind of it, Matt. Start Mike Williams or Michael Pittman in cash.
I mean, I think Pittman's on the up and up.
Yeah, I'd probably say Pittman.
Does it have to be one of those two in cash? Can we do better?
Can we do better? So that's right around that
give me some
high
price
4K
tag.
range. Mike Williams will probably get one of, depending on who they put on Keenan, between JC Jackson and Gilmore. If he gets Gilmore, then I would be out on Mike Williams. I think Chips just pooped on the floor.
All right, I got a question here. How about the Saints defense this week? I believe we talked about the Saints defense, or did we not? I think that was the Falcons defense.
I don't think we talked about them. Falcons are scary. I'll say that. They're always scary.
Yeah, so. I don't like the Saints upside this week for defense. Okay. I like some of the other pay down options. So Saints are, what's their price tag? Saints are at $3,600. Yeah, that's a little too pricey for me. I think if you're going to be paying up at the defense, you might as well go all the way up with the Dolphins, in my opinion.
Okay. D-Hop or Keenan Allen? I like Keenan Allen.
I'm going Keenan. D-Hop has just been inconsistent, especially with the Kyler's AC joint.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Okay, guys. Cooks or Henry?
Cooks.
I go Cooks too.
Yeah, Cooks.
I think Matt's trying to multitask.
Yeah, I'm reading stuff. I'm looking at Patreon.
Yeah, I figured. No love for Hopkins today. Yeah, we just talked about that. I'd rather go Keenan Allen over D-Hop. Falcons have all their weapons back. Does that really actually matter? Seahawks D safe for GPP. Yeah, I think they're good at 3,100. Any love for Corey Davis, guys?
Yeah, we just got a Corey Davis question. Yeah, I like Corey Davis just as much as I like Brown, AJ Brown. So I like them both, especially if you expect it's going to shoot out.
Okay.
Corey Davis has actually been really consistent this year.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he is. He's good. He's good at football.
That entire offense
good.
has been consistent. That's why I like the Titans and to target them in general this week.
Yeah, Frisker stuff too.
Yeah.
I think that's it for the chat, Matt. So
all right, I got one final question here, and then we'll go ahead and end it, and then I will update everything on Patreon. The last question is really liking Tannehill, Brown, Corey Davis with running back. Wait, Corey Davis running back with Hooper. Am I crazy? Hooper. That's
Austin Hooper?
Yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't think Hooper's the guy to target in that game for a shootout. I don't. I think
I don't know who the guy is to target in that game for a shootout on that side. So I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't. So maybe it is Hooper. I don't know.
I guess I would be more on like Landry. I don't know, but yeah, I don't believe in the wide receivers.
It would be Jarvis. It would be Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, probably not Hooper. But yeah, that will go ahead and end the question session, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Any last words, guys?
Chips just pooped on the floor, so that's all I got. And he's yelping. So that's it. Chips is pooping on the floor. Good luck in football, though.
With that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.
I'm gonna go beat up some roofers. I'll be right back.